what made me actually to come here, it's mostly inspiration I got from the people who is starting to pitch their talk there, and I'm sitting there in the corner like come on, so many people like this, sharing their experience, they telling about so interesting stuff. I should also talk about something. Then I was the last one actually in the morning pitch, and that's why actually my talk will have no fancy slides, will have no maybe good structure, and I would expect it to be more question-driven, so we'll have at least 10 minutes to questions, definitely. So, my name is Vadim, and I came here from Berlin, and I'm working for a company called FlixBus. FlixBus, I'm not sure if you know, it's a bus transportation company. Real physical buses, not an aggregator, not a kayak, not a meta searcher. It's real huge buses. That green color, if you'll see it on the streets, that's our buses. In France, we're pretty small, probably not yet so popular. We just started, but in Germany, we are market leader. And of course, everybody knows FlixBus, or another brand we're operating under is FlixBus, which is quite German word. What I will talk about, I'll share some experience that we collected during the last 4 years, in which we actually built a company from 2 guys sitting in a small room to a huge international transportation multi-million company, probably as big as some airline carriers like Air Berlin or something like that. So, and it's just for 4 years. And of course, since it's Android conference, I will share some knowledge that we collected during using Android in our growing process and how it helped us. So who we are, as I said, we're a transportation company, physical transportation company with licenses, with all these government regulations, with all these physical stops. Like, we are not digital company at the end. So maybe somebody's thinking about like transportation, boring, like it's like guys 60 years old sitting somewhere like and like monitoring trains. No, it's not. What's so cool about buses that 4 years ago there was no buses, no intercity buses. So in Central European countries like France, Italy, Germany, there was a lot of regulations which exist since beginning of the century, maybe 70, 60 years, which was introduced by governments in order to protect railway investments. At the end, until 2013, you cannot just go from Berlin to Dresden. It's like 200 kilometers with a bus. You can go like some kind of cross-border ways, but not from Berlin to Dresden inside Germany. The same thing existed in France, I think, if I'm not wrong, till September of this year. So you cannot go from Paris to Le Mans. Sorry for my pronunciation. But yeah, now you can. So we are a new age of company, and of course it's one chance in a life when a market of like 200–300 million of people who had no buses at some point of time, now they can have a buses tomorrow. Just go apply for license, pay some money to government, and you can go. That means a huge competition. That means that 2 guys who started started our company actually in 2011, sit in a small shared room, actually rented from kindergarten, they need to compete. They need to understand how to build a company. And the power of transportation is an area when you cannot compete if you are small. There are 2 ways. If you should be big or you're out of market, because the density of network, the quality of network, that's what customers value. So, quick historical thing. In 2011, the 2 guys from Berlin just left their job and founded a company called FlixBus. And they started some operations even before liberalization in Germany, which came in 2013, and was more or less market leader, but market was pretty small, so not a big achievement. In 2013, the market was liberalized in Germany, and another 3 guys sitting in Munich just decided, okay, let's do some buses. These guys from Berlin managed it, why not? They founded a company called FlixBus. At the end of 2013, kind of less than 9 or 10 months ago, both companies are merged in a big international company, I would call. Now it's more like holding, and we decided to operate under the brand FlixBus. Again, it's quite hard probably to explain to French people what is FlixBus, right? So now we are a company which is about like 75–80% of market in Germany. We are a pretty big player in France. We are almost market leader. We're actually a market leader, but not more than 50% in Italy. And we're also operating in 17 countries in Europe. That will be like in a few weeks, it will be 4 years old company. We have about like 70 people working for us. It's not including drivers and people who maintain in buses. We have 4 offices, one in Paris actually. We have about 1,000 buses driving somewhere around Europe, like from, I don't know, from Berlin to Paris, probably like 5 buses in a day at least going there. And we have about 50–60 engineers. So what about Android, right? It's, yes, good question. So what we did from day one, actually, we decided not to go with, again, transportation is very highly automatable area. You go in there, and if you're not automating, you're just losing money, and you cannot grow so fast. So from day one, we decided to build a special application for driver, where you can come to a bus and say, show your ID or just tell your name. He said, OK, welcome on board. Enjoy your trip. It was a simple Android application with some technical challenges, but what it brought to us full control of what's going on there. For example, scanning of the tickets, what we encode into these QR codes. It brought us a cheap entrance to a software and hardware. When you're a startup, you don't really know like what kind of hardware you need. Is it worth to buy like this 700 euros devices like for every of your 100 buses, right? You don't know if it will work. So having cheap Android smartphones, giving it to every driver, installing it into every bus, which costs like 200 euros, something like that, if not subsidized by operators, is just quite cheap entrance and quite cheap experiment. You can try, something works, something doesn't, throw it away. We did a lot of experiments there. We tried different hardware. We tried different approaches. For example, we know that QR code idea, which is everybody kind of get used to it. We was afraid that our drivers don't know what is that, and they don't know how to deal with QR codes. We did probably 5 different experiments with different UI and different approaches how we show QR code. Now drivers love it. Okay, of course they love it. Yes. So what else it brought to us? It brought to us some kind of free benefits, because like GPS tracking of the bus, if you don't have GPS tracker or it doesn't work, you still can make it from a driver's application, right? You're a transportation company without knowing where is your bus, probably you're blind, you're a bad transportation company if you cannot say where is your bus and when it will be in a point B, where it's going to. Of course, then, with the, well, you have smartphone, not a specialized, that big device, which is called like crazy amount of money, you can connect via Bluetooth to a bus. Buses has pretty nice interfaces, like you can check information about who is driving, like driver's license information. You can get information about, from tachometer, how long he's driving. Like there is strict regulation about how long is allowed for public transportation drivers to drive, and you are checking it, okay, and then you can call and say, hey man, in 30 minutes your driving time expires. Please let other drivers to drive. And we have a special operation control department, which is about like 70 people, who is sitting and checking this number here, checking the location of the bus, who is checking traffic information. And of course, having a smartphone in every bus, in every pocket of every driver, helps us a lot. Then, that's quite non-standard things that you can build in with into bus. You can work internally in your company. Of course, there is a passengers applications that we have. For example, and it's actually pretty obvious what passengers application can do. It's buying tickets, having own tickets, presenting it, like checking like on airline terms. Of course, you would like to know location of your stations, and again, you would like to know where is my bus and when it will approach, like my station. Should I leave now or should I like wait for 15 minutes and so on? What passenger application give us is give us feedbacks. We have pretty good feedback stream, and we are measuring quality. Quality is, I would say, it's priority for our application. At least that's what top management says. I hope they don't see this presentation. Yes, and of course, while being market leader, you need to fight for quality. If you are big, the quality going down. So we have a lot of tools built internally which we actually use for measuring quality. And people are very open to share something with us, share information. That was great, that was not great, driver was not friendly, and so on. And of course, collecting this data helps us to understand where we have problems. We have a special, I call it like Mr. Wolf department, who is going and visiting driver and saying, hey man, you are unfriendly 3 weeks in a row. Probably you need to change your behavior. Because again, quality going up after that. Then another thing, for example, in our bus, you can go into a bus, take your smartphone, iPad, connect to Wi-Fi, and watch movies directly from a bus. But company who own rights for this movie, like digital rights, like Sony, BMG, and so on, they said, okay, guys, you can stream our movies, you can pay for us, like not so big amount of money for every streamer, but it should be DRM protected. Then you're going to open market and asking, hey, who can do that DRM protection for us, embedded to every application that our customer has, like our application or some kind of, we have two actually applications for customers. And there is probably the fastest company who did it. They said, okay, we can do it in 2 years. Like, what? 2 years? In 2 years, we will be like biggest European company. Like, you cannot wait for 2 years, right? And we built DRM protection internally, using like open standards, open protocols, and so on. Mostly was what was required by content right owners. But still, we can do this internally, and we can iterate very fast because of that. And again, because Android. Android is very easy and it's very friendly for this type of environment. Then, if you go to a bus station, you will see arrival departures timetable, like on airports. And guess what? It's Android application. Why we need to build this? Like, it's not our problem, it's kind of stations, right? Government or whatever who owns station. The thing is that there was no buses, no good stations. Now we bring in buses, we bring in like thousands of new jobs for drivers, and there is no place where these buses can stop, and people just wait. Of course, it brings some new investors who would like to build some new stations, who would like to co-invest with the governments, with the local authorities, and they're not really digitalized. And if you will go to our station, you will see a timetable where like bus from Paris to Berlin arrive in like in 50 minutes, but with delay of 5 minutes. Sorry for that. That's Android application. Again, it took like probably like few hours to build a prototype, right? Just simple application, fetching data from API. That's it. Then we have a point of sale application. If you'll go to our so-called, we call it shops. In fact, it's a point of sales on, for example, on Central Station. You go in there and would like to pay with a credit card. You cannot just, okay, you just can pay with credit card, but what we offer you, we will offer you some small Bluetooth model with PIN code. So you can please put your card there, enter PIN code, or put your signature, depending on what would you prefer, and that's it. And this system is fully integrated into our pretty complex price model. Price model is very similar to airlines, so you cannot predict what will be the price in 5 minutes. I cannot tell you what it costs from Paris to Berlin now. It may be 15 euros, maybe 45 euros right now. So again, integration, I think it was built like overnight in some hackathons that we did internally in a company, like just went to Amsterdam for hackathon, like 24 hours, and we built this application, tried, got a feedback from guys who's working there, who working on stations, and said, yes, that's what we need that to be fixed. In 2 weeks we have application. Again, Android, everybody equipped with a cheap Android smartphone, low entrance, experiments. There are a few projects that were killed, I will not talk about it, but again, it's a improvement that we can do this quickly and we can iterate faster than all our competitors, like Deutsche Bahn, like SNCF, and so on. Then another, for example, example of using Android in I would call it industrial way, ticket kiosk. Like if you go to metro, you have this SNCF box here. You enter, okay, I would like to go from Paris to Charles de Gaulle airport, like 6 euros or 9, as I remember. That's again Android applications that can be built based on what we have collected, like from pieces from all existing code base that we have, just simple models that will be built like in days, not even weeks. Quality checking application. Every bus needs to be checked, like if it's clean, if the toilet is clean, if there's no broken seats, if seat belts are fixed, because it's regulation, right? You can, it's security. So there is a special people rolling around Germany, Europe, France, and they check in, okay, your bus is quite dirty. Dirty bus, minus point for a partner who take care about this bus. Your bus has a wrong label or something, like some sticker on it is like legal sticker is not correct or something like that. Your toilet was dirty, something like that. They also use this quality feedbacks. It's internal quality, not the same as a customer's quality, but still they would like to have app because it's people who is driving all around the country, they check in it with a smartphone. For them it's easy and cheap for us to implement and so on. What is more important is that we collect this data. We collect data from all these applications or applications of idea of Android in a whole big database, and we can do some very important, I would say, business insight. And nobody from our competitors cannot say that, okay, if we see a quality drop from Berlin to Dresden on Friday evening, and our engine actually can tell us that this quality drop actually happens because there is a traffic jams and people just unsatisfied and driver got nervous. Like that's kind of insights that none of companies can do right now. That's probably it. And if we'll try to summarize, so what Android and like openness of Android and cheapest of Android brought to us, it's first of all this all process, which is super important to the fast-growing companies, to the company who don't know what they're building right now, who don't know what will be in 2 years, for example. We succeeded. Some of our competitors not, of course. Probably we are lucky here, but I believe that this utilization of Android openness and cheapness was a pretty big advantage for us. As I said, it's very cheap cost of provisioning, deployment, experimenting. You can buy like few devices, try with it, okay, so say, okay, this device is bad, this device is good, let's use it. We can do some kind of Google TV device, try like different versions and install one of it on all stations. We have about 800 stations all around Europe. Then it's super fast cycles of development. You can try something, you roll it out. If something doesn't work, you roll it back, no problem. And of course, what I would recommend to stop thinking about Android as an operating system for a smartphone, for end users, for tablet, for TV. It's production-ready, industrial-ready device. It's a small computer, actually, much better than your Raspberry Pi or something like that, right? Which has already Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. It has even screen if you need it, like touch screen. So, and of course, a lot of sensors like GPS. And based on that, you can build something very fast, very easy, much faster than, for example, you can do with all this current Internet of Things stream or paradigm. And yep, I actually just realized that I made a mistake, and our talk called like 1,500 persons grow in a year. It's not true. It's actually 1,800 persons grow in a year. I'm done. Thank you. By the way, I have amazing picture. If somebody don't see it, it's we are hiring. Yeah. Questions? Come on. Okay, then thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, you do not employ the driver directly, so
no,
it's like Uber. You are giving.
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually recently, since we switched our presentation from being transportation company to technology company, it's pretty often when people call us Uber for buses. Yes, we don't employ drivers, but they're employed by our partners. We have about 200 companies, which is small, mostly privately owned family companies who own buses or lease buses. We have special agreements with the bus producers like Mercedes, Daimler, MAN, etc., and so on. So our partners can go there and get a bus already painted into our colors. But so we share cost and we share revenue with these companies, so they kind of take some risk as well as we do. But of course, from a customer point of view, from a legal point of view, everything is on our shoulders. So even uniform for drivers, even, of course, smartphones and applications development, and everything is on our part. That's me. Yeah. What else? Okay, thank you.